I hope you are doing well. Can someone say yes, no? Yes. It should fill the room in the energy. Uh, a very warm welcome. It is warm. So physically and by textually, very warm welcome to you all for joining our sessions as Resilience Hub at COP30. Firstly, Firstly, want to thank to Resilience Hub team member for facilitating and helping us out throughout uh, the months and on the ground itself. My name is Vikrant Shrivastava, uh, and I am Global Coordinator of the Global Flagship Initiative on Food Security, and I am pleased to open the session Seed for Foresight, Building Transparently Resilience through Agri-Food System and Ancestral Knowledge. Today dialogue will bring together youth leaders, indigenous knowledge holders, agri-food innovators, and global experts to explore one central question. How do we build resilience that truly cross boundary between countries, between generation, and between knowledge system? From rainforest to dryland, communities are showing up that resilience being long before crisis strike through the ancestor wisdom, early action, nature based system, and youth driven solution. We will try to explore all of these solutions here in this session. Thank you for joining us. So let's begin with introducing Dr. Conrad, who is our opening guest of honor. Dr. Conrad, who is the Secretary General of the Global Flagship Initiative of Food Security, to deliver the opening remark and frame why agri-food system innovations and ancestors' knowledge must sit as a center of resilience and sharing insight of the Global Flagship Initiative of Food Security. Over to Dr. Conrad.
Yes, good afternoon from Bonn, Germany, and thank you so much for joining us for this very important dialogue. It's an honor to deliver these opening remarks on behalf of the Global Flagship Initiative for Food Security. Allow me first to express our deep appreciation to all the organizers and partners who have made today's session possible, including the government of Peru. Peru is an extraordinary country I had the privilege to travel through extensively a few years ago. Its rich agricultural heritage and its guardians of ancestral knowledge continue to inspire global action on resilience and food security. Over the past year, the Global Flagship Initiative for Food Security has grown at remarkable speed. In less than 12 months, we have brought together more than 90 development partners from around the world, governments, research institutions, companies, and civil society organizations. This coalition is creating unprecedented momentum towards achieving SDG 2, Zero Hunger. We are encouraged by strong high-level support from the UN Deputy Secretary General, the President of the African Development Bank, the leadership of the IGAD countries in the Horn of Africa, and many G20 members. Collectively, this sends a clear signal. The world is ready to act decisively to end hunger and to build resilient, sustainable agri-food systems. This commitment has been equally visible in the global processes shaping our shared future. Yesterday at COP30, we were proud to co-sign the letter, The Decade of Implementation, Seizing the Opportunity Together, addressed to all three COP presidencies. The message is unequivocally clear. Momentum is underway and it is unstoppable. We are in an era of implementation. And we stand firmly behind the call from fellow signatories. We are a coalition of doers, proving that transformation is not only possible, but beneficial, creating jobs, building resilience, and opening the door to a new economy that works for all. And as we are heading towards the G20 summit in South Africa tomorrow, we want to reaffirm that food security must remain a global top priority. The flagship has worked closely with the G20 South African presidency to ensure this priority is reflected across key G20 outcomes, from the communique of the agricultural chief scientists to the declaration of the G20's Food Security Task Force adopted by consensus, and ultimately its inclusion in the final G20 summit declaration. This is real structural progress towards a more resilient global food systems. Today's session, Seeds of Foresight, Building Transboundary Resilience through Agri-Food Systems and Ancestral Knowledge, is a powerful continuation of that momentum. As the climate crisis accelerates, Communities across the world are showing us that early action, grounded in ancestral knowledge and elevated by innovation, can transform vulnerability into opportunity. This session highlights exactly that, how indigenous leadership, youth, ingenuity, entrepreneurship, and agri-food transformation are converging to deliver real-world resilience from the soil to the system level. We will explore community-driven models that connect traditional ecological knowledge with clean tech solutions, anticipatory financing tools that deliver resources before disaster strikes, and cross-border cooperation that embeds resilience within food, energy, and water systems. Crucially, we will hear how indigenous and youth voices are shaping the next generation of agri-food resilience policies, ensuring that our approaches are not only climate smart, but culturally grounded, intergenerational, and built for the long-term sustainability. This session invites all of us, policymakers, innovators, practitioners, to see agri-food systems not as isolated sectors, but as powerful vehicles for transboundary and intergenerational resilience where knowledge flows, from elders to youth, from local fields to global policies, and from early warning to early investment. The Global Flagship Initiative for Food Security is committed to helping channel this momentum into concrete action in partnership with all of you here today. Together, we can build resilient agri-food systems that leave no one behind, not in this generation and not in the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Conrad, for your insightful remarks and for grounding us in the urgency and opportunity at this moment. And we appreciate and we look forward working together close by close for the flagships, making sure that the agri-food system, innovation, and ancestral knowledge are must seated at the center of resilience. And with that said, we will be moving. And with that said, we will be moving with a panel segment today. We have so many amazing speakers which will be introduced by one of my colleague, Nancy Queronga. I hope I pronounce your name correct. But if not, please, Nancy, join us over on the stage. Over to you, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to change my language, so I'm going to start to speak in Spanish. Ok. Gracias a todos y a todas por estar aquí. En un mundo donde la crisis climática golpea más fuerte que nuestra capacidad institucional de responder, las comunidades, nuestros territorios y nuestros pueblos nos demuestran que la resiliencia empieza antes de la emergencia, en el conocimiento ancestral, en la innovación de las personas jóvenes y en la forma en que lo transformamos nuestros propios sistemas agroalimentarios. Para mí es un gusto que cada una de las personas que van a ser parte del panel puedan acompañarnos. Está María Angélica Barrera, por favor, Benjamín Sánchez, Rubit Lorena Arias, Dr. Sausan Iliwari. Yes? Okay, please, go ahead. Somebody else? Empezamos porque falta alguien más.
No, ambos vamos a presentar en inglés.
Ok.
Presentar en español.
Este panel nos invita a mirar la resiliencia como un sistema vivo, donde los saberes viajan a través de las generaciones entre los pueblos. Así que nuestro desafío es pasar de la inclusión simbólica a la agenda real, diseñar sistemas donde las comunidades y la innovación sean los protagonistas. Hoy conversaremos sobre modelos concretos, desde Sudán del Sur hasta Chile, desde Arabia Saudita hasta Colombia y Brasil, ya que están transformando este tipo de problemas en oportunidades. Primero, cada uno, por favor, presente de manera breve su nombre, lo que hace, y ya después vamos a ir con preguntas muy puntuales para cada uno de los panelistas. Si quieres, empieza, Belén.
So I start now. After Gracias. Voy a presentar. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the kind presentations. I'll present in English. So I love the topic of this sentence, of this session, because it talks about foresight. And well, let's see what we have been building with youth leaders across Latin America and the world. And well, let's do a bit of foresight. Welcome to 2075. It's not the world you imagine, where robots have taken over, nature has disappeared, and the poor have been left behind. Allow me, please, to reintroduce Latin America to you. Latin America is a continent which is at the forefront of a new era of development, where rural governance reimagines legitimacy through intergenerational compacts co-created with historically marginalized groups. Here, in Latin America, prosperity is defined and measured by the health of ecosystems. Sounds too good to be true? Let me show you how. By 2025, a lot of multilateral organizations like the United Nations System of Environment Economic Accounting, the World Bank National Accounting, National Capital Accounting, and the Global Program of Sustainability have already shown how governments can integrate biophysical and monetary data to track the condition and service flow of ecosystems. While countries such as Costa Rica are aligning fiscal policy and long-term well-being through natural capital accounts. Other examples, such as the regional payment for ecosystem services and water funds, demonstrate that prosperity can be measured. Where's the slide? Sorry. Thank you so much. So sorry. Here. Thank you so much. Confirms that well-designed payment for ecosystem services schemes grounded in secure tenure, transparent monitoring, and equitable governance improve livelihoods while restoring biodiversity. And innovative politics and finance tools like the Tropical Forest for Air Facility, the Brazil's 2021 National Payment for Ecosystem Services Law, and the World Economic Forum Biodiversity Credits Initiative are enable transparent registers and benefit sharing mechanisms that recognize communities as custodians of natural assets. And together, the signals suggest that Latin America can replace growth-only narratives with legitimacy, grounded in ecosystem health and international governance, offering globally relevant guidance for future leadership, policy, and investment. Although good, these advances still based on capitalistic models where monetary flow is linked to the biosphere. But what if we build a system where prosperity is not linked to a currency? And this is what we're going towards, a world where Everson, Janet, Miriam, Alegría, Demet, Ricardo, and Milagros are taking into account where decisions are made. And who are they, you may ask? They are young people, politicians, indigenous leaders, business people who have been spoken to over the past months. They are the ones who are building this world, not with the rules imposed on them, but with the dreams of the world where biodiversity and nurture is worth more than banknotes. It's a world where we are flip the switch on the concept that to be valuable, nature can be both as a compensation for pollution. It's not a commodity that some can afford and others can destroy. Is the very basis of our interactions as humanity. Have Peru laws protected the Amazon in increments over the years? Yes. Does this equate to a more prosperous world for all? Yes. Has Mexico implemented metrics that not only track regenerative practices but also incentivize conservation? Yes. Is the currency no longer linked to the bank but linked to the amount of natural wealth a country has grown? Yes. This transformation became possible when legitimacy was rebuilt through reciprocity and foresight. And across Latin America, that data began to speak the language of trust, becoming the bridge between citizens and measure and institutions international compacts anchored, thank you so much, anchored policies in shared care, align social and ecological well-being. And through foresight, leaders learn to act not for the next election, but for the next generation. And as indigenous and youth voices enter governance, legitimacy evolved from extraction to regeneration, from ownership to belonging. Latin America can become the world's laboratory for international governance, where nature, data, and democracy align. Our region has the knowledge, ecosystems, and communities to lead the ships. Sí, ya. Sí, termino de inmediato. Let Latin America show the world that the future of governance can be regenerative. Thank you so much.
Gracias. Ahora voy a intentar hacer la traducción de la pregunta para nuestro panelista que está conectado de manera virtual, Mr. Chenkwak. Yes. Hi. I really appreciate to be in this panel today. So, Mr. Chenkwak, you work in contexts where food insecurity and conflict intensify the impacts of the climate crisis. From your experience in South Sudan, how are young people leading resilience efforts, and what roles does local innovations play in anticipating emergencies with your experience? Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, wherever you are. It is very important today that we are discussing this important topic that touched my heart, building transboundaries, resilient through agri-food system and ancestral knowledge. This topic is not just about resilience, it is being resilient. And I'm happy to be part of the panelists today. Therefore, to look into and to discuss further on the theme, I would like us to picture one thing. A seed. Let's picture a seed. It is a small enough to be held between your thumb and also forefinger. Because a seed appears dormant, simple, but within that tiny seed, there is a bezel, which is a map of a genetic code honed over millennia within that seed. If we look at the seed, we know it knows when to wait for the rain, how to withstand the scorching sun, and which nutrient to draw from the soil. Because seed is a living library of resilience. So from our perspective at the grassroots in fragile states, where agri-food system is very important, our resilience is example of that seed. Now also let's picture a seed that traveling, because a seed is something that you can carry very small, but a seed that is not in a laboratory or in a commercial ply, but in the hand of a migrant, tucked in the fold of a cloth, carry across a river, a mountain, and the borders. It is quite act of foresight, a promise of future harvest in a new land. That is our resilience. That is seeds. It travel across the borders from fragility to opportunity. This simple, profound image hold the key to our theme today. Seed for foresight, building boundaries resilient through agri-food system and our ancestral knowledge. We live by the sea and we die by protecting that seed. That is our resilience. We live in an era of interconnected crisis. Climate change does not recognize national boundaries. We need to keep that in mind. Climate change does not recognize national boundaries. A drought in one continent can trigger a bread shortage in another country. For example, the case of the war in Ukraine, it affected most of the countries that were depending on wheat from Ukraine. That is example of a drought.
Muchas gracias.
A pandemic can halt the movement of food and farmers. Our modern, highly efficient, globalized agri-food system is proving to be incredibly fragile. It is a chain, and one link, a break, that the entire system flutter. In our search for solution, we often turn to the future, to the new technologies, smarter algorithm, more sophisticated engineering. And while innovation is crucial, we are overlooking our most profound and time-testing resources, which is our natural ancestral knowledge. This is not a knowledgeable look back at romanticizing past. This is about actionable algorithm, intelligent. Ancestral knowledge is the cumulative wisdom born of deep observation and symbiotic relationships with the land. It is the indigenous practice of the reading of the cloud to predict the rainfall. It is the age-old crop rotation method that naturally replenishes the soil. It is the knowledge of which wild plants are edible during a famine and how to preserve seed through a long winter. Our ancestors were the original fisheries. Therefore, the practice for science is not in the boardroom, but in the field. I urge all of us to go to the field instead to remain in the boardroom where we talk and discuss things that are not implemented outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your insights. They connect perfectly with the next perspective we need to explore. María Angélica, I'd like to bring you in now, en español. Entonces, desde la ciencia, tu trabajo, lo que estudiaste y la incidencia joven como líder de una organización que tiene proyectos juveniles importantes a nivel mundial, ¿cómo han logrado que temas como biodiversidad, sistemas agroalimentarios y derechos de las comunidades entren en la agenda política con una fuerza real?
Gracias, Nancy. Bueno, me presento. Yo soy Angélica, joven colombiana, y para responder a esta pregunta considero que esto ha sido posible gracias a la articulación, a las sinergias, al establecimiento de procesos colaborativos y ante todo, ante un diálogo intergeneracional y un diálogo que permite a través de visiones a largo plazo construir colectivamente. Considero que también para que esto sea posible es necesario establecer los mecanismos pertinentes para que todos quienes tenemos soluciones, que venimos trabajando desde la academia, pero también desde las comunidades, como lo hemos visto con nuestros compañeros, podamos tener espacios de convergencia como estos espacios para poder construir y poder plantear a largo plazo soluciones que permitan hacer esa transición en nuestros sistemas alimentarios, los cuales actualmente requieren urgentemente una transición porque, como lo estamos viendo y lo hemos evidenciado con los impactos especialmente que ha tenido nuestros sistemas de producción actuales que han sido mantenidos a lo largo de algunas décadas después de 1945, que fue terminada la Segunda Guerra Mundial y empezando la Revolución Verde. Necesitamos repensarnos si necesitamos producir como lo estamos produciendo, sino que necesitamos una transición y que para hacer esa transición debemos nosotros, por ejemplo, como jóvenes, evaluar integralmente más allá de una mirada técnica y profesional, mirar los problemas estructurales que pueden de cierta manera también afectar esa transición de nuestros sistemas alimentarios, y para ello es pertinente pues tener claro esta mirada integral para poder dentro de esta mirada poder tener tanto lo económico, lo social y lo ambiental.
Siguiendo con lo que tú nos comentas, he oído y sé de primera mano que se trabajó con una declaratoria internacional. ¿Cómo podemos articular la defensa de los líderes socioambientales, los jóvenes y estos conocimientos ancestrales para poder involucrarlos en nuestra soberanía y seguridad agroalimentaria?
Bueno, en primera instancia destaco que para obtener un derecho humano a la alimentación es clave que todos estemos en los espacios de diálogo bajo las mismas condiciones, es decir, que estemos hablando de manera horizontal y no de manera jerárquica, y para eso necesitamos hablar el mismo lenguaje y tener los mecanismos de participación para estar efectivamente en estos espacios. Entonces, para ello considero que la educación es clave para no tener esas barreras del lenguaje y permitir que como tal se construya de manera colectiva, garantizando teniendo una gobernanza efectiva, y para ello también es pertinente, uno, la seguridad de los defensores y defensoras socioambientales, que especialmente en Colombia su vida está en riesgo, y sé que en otros países latinoamericanos también lo están. Entonces está ese temor a participar, y pues en este sentido considero que debemos como todas las generaciones tener presente que podemos construir un futuro en donde la violencia solo es el pasado, donde la violencia con la naturaleza solo es pasado.
Gracias. So I'm going to ask to connect with Dr. Sousan. So I have a question for you. Let me 1 second. Because my first language is Spanish, so I'm going to try to do my best. So, Dr. Sousan, from your work in environmental management, how have you managed to integrate community practices, sometimes traditional, with modern tools to strengthen the resilience of agri-food systems in arid ecosystems?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me today, and thank you for this invitation. And this kind of events, I always said, is a great opportunity for sharing our perspective, our experience from different countries, different education background, different ages, I guess also. So it will be always very great opportunity for us. My name is Tawsan Al-Awadi. Originally, I'm from Egypt, and I live and work now in Saudi Arabia. So I come from Middle East, and I hold a PhD in environmental science. My specialization is climate policies, but I won't say why I study this topic specifically, because I always say food agriculture system, it's not just security, it's not just food security, it's national security. Because from my experience, I born in very small village on Nile Delta in Egypt. So my family, it's not working? That's good? Okay, that's better. So my family forced to leave our village and move to another city because of climate change, because of my family lost our land, lost our harvest because of climate change affected very badly on agriculture in my small village. So I take all the memories and all my childhood and all my dreams with me and go to another city. I don't know what wait for me in this city, what is my future in this city. Me and my father and my sisters and my brothers was very lucky because my father invested in my education and forced me to learn environmental science because he want to know what happened to our family land because we lost our land. So he asked me every year, did you know now what happened to our land? Did you know now what happened to lose our land and this much effective, our land affected by drought and by climate change? My uncles, every uncle go to different city. We lost the connection between our family. I have cousins forced to marry very young and 11 and 12 years old, just small girls forced to marry. For me, forced to immigrate to another city. Yes, I have a very good opportunity to this city, but imagine if I didn't have this opportunity. I always ask myself, what if I was like one of my cousins, my girl's cousins? I will be here now and speak with all these international leaders and all these international speakers. I was lucky, but another girls don't have the same luck as mine. So I don't accept there is a lot of cities and villages in a lot of countries have the same faith now because of the climate change and the effective in food and agriculture security. So food and agricultural security, not just for eating and economical effective, it's social effective also. We have to learn how this community learn how resilience, like we are in a resilience hub, how we make this resilience true in these small communities for the social effective. Because of the climate justice, it starts with our social rights, our life, a lot of lives was lost in floods or in droughts in different countries, in different small villages around the world, especially in Middle East, with all of this heat and the droughts and even not perfect human rights in all the world at the same way. So I am here in the COP, and every COP I try to be the voice of the girl who come from very small Nile Delta village, and she was lucky, but there's millions girls now don't have the same luck. So thank you for this opportunity to share our story with all of this audience and all of these leaders. Thank you.
Gracias por tu intervención. Voy a hacer una parte en español para poder contextualizar a las dos panelistas que están aquí para que puedan de pronto tener un resumen ejecutivo de lo que ella acaba de comentar. Prácticamente que ella tuvo que abandonar sus tierras, su familia y tener que enfrentarse a encontrar otro espacio por las consecuencias del cambio climático. Ella dice que se encuentra muy afortunada de poder estar en estos espacios y que aprovecha para poder reunir esfuerzos, ya que muchas niñas en su país, sobrinas, familiares y todo esto, no tienen las mismas oportunidades y digamos que esto no es solamente del territorio donde ella está, sino que nos reunimos aquí porque en diferentes países hay diferentes obstáculos como inundaciones, sequías, crisis alimentaria, y es como ver a partir de la resiliencia que en el caso de ella ha tenido, cómo ha podido transitar y tener como el impacto que quiere lograr a través de estas reuniones con otros líderes internacionales. Me parece muy valioso. Yo te voy a pedir el favor, Benja, que me hagas una traducción porque me pareció muy importante tu historia, lo que estabas hablando en cuanto a género, resiliencia y tu pueblo, el, sí, ¿cómo, cómo tu pueblo, tu comunidad atravesó la resiliencia de dejar su terreno y cómo se enfrenta ahora para manejar la agricultura y la seguridad alimentaria en ecosistemas áridos? De forma breve.
Thank you very much. Yes, my people was not included in indices for any years in every industry or in every policy paper or strategy. So they ignore there is a lot of less fortunate people live in different village in different city in borders or in very poor cities. They ignore them. They don't include them when the decision is taken. So that's why now I am trying with my organization or in any work I did how we could include every single segment from all the people, everyone, women, children, youth, less fortunate people, of course. So when, not just in implementation of the strategy, when we decide or in the first stage from learning and starting the researching, they must be with us in every single detail, because if we ignore them, we can't improve them. We can't come without any knowledge about their traditionals, about their hopes, about their things they don't know or don't want to be. Once I go to with a very huge team to a village, and we want to give them a new ovens using renewable energy, and they refuse because they love their old traditional oven. They told us they love the taste of this this is the smoke and everything. They resist the change. So we have to learn how we must to handle his traditional behaviors and how to include them in our strategies and in our policy, and they should be in the table and with the discussion with us.
Thank you for your words.
I love to give a comment on what you said, because I completely agree with you that in the round table we have to have the voice of the people who are suffering also, because if all we talk about our priorities, our needs, that's a credible tool for the government to decide. They are the decision makers, lastly. So as you perfectly example of the oven, maybe the people, the decision makers, thinks that they are doing the best for the people, but if the people doesn't want to, there's a process which of maybe capacity building, consent. They have to learn that maybe that processes could be inclusively be a little bit dangerous for their health, blah blah blah. But it has a time, resilience of capacity building too. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for your point of view.
Quiero conectar lo que acabamos de hablar con una historia de trabajo, de esfuerzo, de una trayectoria que ha generado Rubit Lorena Arias de Colombia, de Arauca. Quiero preguntarte porque a través de los diferentes procesos que has tenido tanto en la COP16 como en esta COP, cómo a través de tus procesos de sistemas agroalimentarios elaboras un proyecto, trabajas con tu comunidad, una comunidad donde la asistencia de pronto del gobierno es un poco alejada, ya que son zonas rurales. ¿Cómo tú haces esta transformación y tomas de ahí, digamos que toda la motivación para continuar con estos temas de seguridad agroalimentaria?
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Yo soy Rubis Lorena Arias, como lo decía Nancy, vengo desde Colombia, de un departamento hermoso que se llama Arauca, que es zona fronteriza con Venezuela. Bueno, Alimenta se llama el proyecto y surge de la necesidad de poder alimentarnos de manera real y conocer lo que se cosecha en el territorio. Y la base principal es el poder trabajar directamente con las comunidades, conociendo sus necesidades y conociendo el proceso que hay detrás del desarrollo de la cosecha y de sus procesos agrícolas en cada una de sus áreas. Específicamente trabajamos con cacao, con sachainchi y con el topocho, que es una variedad de plátano que se cultiva allí en el territorio. En la implementación de la exploración de investigación del desarrollo del proyecto nos dimos cuenta que era muy necesario poder vincular a los productores campesinos no solamente en la producción, sino también en el relato, en la historia que contamos cuando damos a conocer la transformación que hacemos de estos productos, que principalmente son brownies hechos con estos ingredientes, para alimentar a chicos, a niños y niñas de los colegios rurales y urbanos con el fin de poder dar a conocer, como lo comentaba, lo que se cosecha en el territorio y que ellos desde muy temprana edad amen su casa, amen lo que hacen sus padres, porque la mayoría vienen de familias campesinas, y que se le pueda dar esa dignificación al valor y al trabajo campesino en el territorio.
Quiero preguntarte, y es, ¿qué barreras o dificultades encuentran los emprendedores en tu territorio con los temas que manejas en cuanto a financiamiento verde o otro tipo de problemáticas sociales, ambientales, como estamos hablando durante esta COP, ya sea por cambio climático?
Claro que sí, la principal problemática que tenemos en territorio es efectivamente el cambio climático. Cuando estamos en temporada de verano, entonces es extremos, y lo mismo cuando estamos en invierno. Las principales familias afectadas son las familias productoras campesinas, porque generalmente ellos viven a la ribera del río, y cuando hay invierno, pues esta parte del río no tiene contención, y pues ellos se ven afectados por las inundaciones. Y de igual forma, cuando estamos en verano extremo, la forma de poder regar sus cultivos también disminuye en la capacidad de agua, porque no hay el suficiente flujo de agua que normalmente se debería ver por el tema del verano, y pues evidentemente esto afecta no solamente su producción, sino también su sustento, porque la mayoría de las familias campesinas consumen lo que cosechan.
Acá en pantalla podemos ver algunos procesos pedagógicos que has realizado con tu comunidad, que has elaborado talleres, que esto hace parte como de la base de que ellos también tengan una apropiación no solo cultural, sino de conocimiento del funcionamiento, ya sea por medio de enseñarles acerca de polinizadores, que eso, digamos, que rompe un paradigma en cuanto al peligro que estos animales pueden generar. Pero quiero preguntarte, ¿cómo tú elaboras estas propuestas para jóvenes, adultos, y que convergen en lo mismo, ¿no? Querer hacer un cambio a través de la educación?
Precisamente nuestros pilares en Alimenta son la educación, el alimento y el diseño, y como base principal la educación, porque pues cuando no conocemos lo que tenemos a nuestro alrededor, pues no lo conservamos y muy difícilmente podemos dar ese mensaje que se da dentro de las comunidades, que eso es lo que finalmente permanece, que son los saberes ancestrales, que ellos lo tienen de una manera, lo trabajan de una manera increíble, pero precisamente esos saberes ancestrales los unimos con la educación ambiental para que la información que ellos tienen tan valiosa la puedan conocer los niños, las niñas, las personas que están interesadas en consumir alimentos del territorio y de manera saludable. Entonces, la educación a través de no solamente los niños y de los adultos, en este caso con las familias campesinas, nos ha abierto muchas puertas a que se realice esa sinergia de poder trabajar directamente con ellos y que ellos también nos ayuden a formar el contenido educativo, porque pues finalmente de eso se trata, de un trabajo co-creativo, no solamente somos nosotros, sino que también ellos hacen parte vinculante del proceso. Y precisamente las fotografías que están ahí en pantalla fue un proceso que hicimos de COP16 a COP30, en donde la organización Live of Pachamama, que es la que me tiene aquí presente, se hizo el plan retorno de lo que se había aprendido en la COP16 y se aplicó en territorio. Tuvimos la linda experiencia de poder vincularnos con una organización de base que es la Fundación Corocoras en Arauca y con la Organización de Conservación de Murciélagos para Colombia, y hicimos un taller en donde les dimos a conocer a los agricultores, especialmente a las mujeres, los procesos que se realizan dentro de la COP, porque también hace parte de la educación que ellos también conozcan que tienen importancia dentro de las decisiones que se están debatiendo acá y cómo lo pueden hacer y porque es importante que ellos participen. Entonces esto fue una experiencia increíble porque acercamos las negociaciones, la información que se maneja dentro de las COP para que ellos también puedan fortalecer sus procesos y se sientan parte vinculante de esto.
Muchas gracias, Rubit. Y de pronto, para continuar y cerrar, quería preguntarte a ti, Benjamín, a todos los panelistas, ¿dónde ven el riesgo de que perdamos el conocimiento ancestral en los próximos 10, 20 años y cómo lo podemos prevenir? Ya que la mayoría de la información que estamos obteniendo se está dando por medio de medios tecnológicos y no tanto de manera cercana con el campo.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for that approach. And well, this is pretty important because actually now we are in a context of a lot of disinformation. So how can we be prepared for the next generations to take care of our environment on a resistant way, working with rural communities, if there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation? And how can we be prepared for the future on the next 20 years? Especially talking about foresight on long-term planning, we expect with the World Economic Forum that in 20 years there will be a war in Latin America because of the water in the on the competition of the bioregions because of the scarcity of the water. So we cannot talk about of resilience if we don't have a legitimacy on our institutions, the capacity. And for that, I think, if you ask me, I completely agree with my panelist sessions, with my panelist peers of Rubit, that capacity building is pretty important to work with in an international way, with different intersectional approach, with ancestral communities, so that all we, with our different perspectives, can build our future and be prepared for the next challenges we will face on the future, especially in Latin America. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question, by the way, and I agree with you about knowledge transformation. For me, I just said I hold a PhD in environmental science, and I also work as a president of an NGO in Egypt, and I am a consulting director in a company in EcoCode. It's a very huge consulting firm in Saudi Arabia. So this connection between the third things in the triangle is amazing between academia and the NGO and the private sector, and also when we work with governmental firms, it will be great strategy to make sure we include every single topic or in every single thing we want to deliver to our community and the climate change case. Because if we work separate, we don't we don't, we cannot reach our goal. So for me, the most important thing to activate the SDG 17 partnership. Yes, that's the amazing SDG, by the way, the partnership and collaboration between all firms. So thank you.
Bueno, para responder a esta pregunta creo que necesitamos que, como lo dije, todos nos sentemos para pensar una solución partiendo de un diagnóstico que esté centrado en una caracterización de las problemáticas que generaron que en determinada manera a lo largo del tiempo tengamos una pérdida cultural de algunos lenguajes y que pues tristemente en Latinoamérica, que es de los territorios con más diversidad de comunidades indígenas, se ha perdido con el pasar de los años. Y esto también ha sido debido a esa transición social y cultural que se ha tenido después de 1492. Entonces, sí considero que es necesario hacer una evaluación integral y también una proyección a largo plazo que permita recuperar estos saberes, o sea, primero el lenguaje, y que esto permita que también se genere una apropiación cultural empezando con los niños, porque en determinados lugares, particularmente de Colombia, ya no hay un relevo generacional, especialmente en algunas lenguas nativas, solo lo hablan quienes ya son adultos, personas de tercera edad, y sus hijos lo entienden, pero ya sus nietos ni lo entienden, ni lo comprenden, ni lo saben hablar. Entonces sí es necesario repensarnos la política educativa en los países latinoamericanos, pero para repensarnos esa política es necesario sentar a todos los actores que hacen parte de esta política, sentarse en las mismas condiciones, hablar el mismo lenguaje y hacer una proyección a largo plazo, es decir, una política que no solo se quede en los periodos electorales de 4 años, sino que sea algo a largo plazo, que permita que todos los sistemas del conocimiento científico, tradicional, empírico, se sienten a dialogar.
Gracias, María.
Bueno, considero que parte de lo que dice María Angélica con el tema de las políticas también va mucho de la mano con el tema de la dignificación de las labores que ellos hacen, no solamente por parte de los estados, del gobierno, sino también por parte de nosotros como decisores alimentarios, porque a la final eso somos. Más allá de consumidores, nosotros tenemos el poder en nuestra mano de decidir de qué nos vamos a alimentar, conociendo de dónde vienen los alimentos que se sirven en nuestra mesa. Y cuando nosotros tenemos ese pensamiento crítico de poder decidir de manera libre cómo queremos alimentarnos y que sea del territorio, se le da el valor, se voltea la problemática y deja de estar las comunidades campesinas luchando sola contra las políticas, sino que ahora se puede empoderar a la comunidad, a las personas, nosotros que somos de a pie, para poder apoyarles a ellos en que se les